live, which is a new little thing we're trying out. And we will also, after the session is over, we're going to take the video, we're going to post it on the UNT system website and have it to share. But let's jump into it. And Lisa, let's talk a little bit about UNT Dallas to start out. It's an exciting time. We just opened a $63 million student center and big old feature article in the Dallas Morning News.
Yeah, it's great to be here. I like the fact that we are rotating these town halls around and we get to view all of the different locales. And this student center is incredible. It is designed to do just that, serve our students. Congratulations to President Mung and the staff here and the students here, because this is truly the heartbeat now of UNT Dallas campus, and it's really exciting to see it come about. This article that was around the incredible event that was happening here on the groundbreaking made it in the Dallas Morning News and was picked up nationwide, across all of Texas and nationwide, and it really highlighted the incredible accessibility, affordability, diversity, community connectedness that we have here, and innovation too.
Fastest growing university in the state. So
it was exciting to see it getting played out all over Texas and, quite frankly, the nation. So congratulations again, President Mung.
And Barbara, you've had a few stops in your higher ed career, not like our chancellor who flew straight in from a rocket ship on NASA's International Space Station, but have you ever been a part of a growth scenario like this where you see a university just blossoming before your eyes?
No, I haven't, and that is one of the reasons why I'm so excited to be here. It is just amazing to see this campus that has grown so much, to see what President Mung and his team have been able to accomplish, and what this building is going to do for the students is so exciting. We had the pleasure of working with the students at last semester on a job description project, and they are so bright and did such an amazing job for us.
Those are Dr. Shumway's student HR group,
yes,
right?
Yes.
No, we're proud of them. And before we talk a little bit more about the growth here at UNT Dallas and beyond, I wanted to share a story that just happened to me firsthand that I thought was pretty cool, and I was just telling President Mung. I rode the DART here from downtown this afternoon, and when I got off the DART station, I started walking my way here, and it was raining. And a student worker on a golf cart picked me up, and he gave me a ride up to the student center, and we were talking on the car ride over, the golf cart ride. And I asked him about how he likes UNT Dallas, and he said, I love it. And he's a senior, he's getting set to graduate with a general business degree. So Dr. Shumway, another one of your folks, and this is a great story about your faculty. I asked him why he likes UNT Dallas so much, and he talked about the faculty being there for him, his professors always being accessible to him, and I thought, well, that's really good. And he continued to go on and said his mother was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and they have worked around her treatment schedule to get him what he needs to continue toward his degree. And I just thought that was an amazing story that really speaks for the culture that Bob's built here, and Dr. Shumway, your folks, really a special compliment. So I wanted to share that story, and with that...
That's a pretty awesome story. And I keep hearing those kind of stories over and over again, so thanks for highlighting that.
It's a special place, near and dear to my heart. But also the fastest growing university in the state, along with new enrollment records at UNT in Denton. If we want to hit the next slide, let's take a look at where we are. Lisa, talk about just the growth of the region, and then we'll look at the university specifically.
This is certainly the Dallas-Fort Worth region is one of the fastest growing regions in the nation, and we are growing right along with it. But we really want to lead that growth in being so connected with the kind of programs that we're offering, really understanding what our companies need, what our students need, and thinking about that all along the way. You can see all the green on the chart here that shows we're very strategically placed right here in North Texas to really lead that growth and be a key part of companies wanting to come here and being a part of this, because we're doing the kind of things that are a draw with the talent that we're producing. We're working very closely, as I said, with the corporate community, but we're also working very much with community colleges as well, and making sure that we're having those guided pathways, or with ISDs also, the K through 12s, all across this region, to make sure that we do have those pathways in. We're breaking records in growth, as you mentioned, Paul, not only in...
These are unofficial numbers yet. I don't want Bob to think that we're growing his celebratory celebration. These are unofficial at this time.
I didn't feel comfortable enough to show the research numbers and to show the philanthropy numbers, but I can tell you they are right now breaking our targets that we had set. So we're pretty excited about that, but we are going to go out on a limb and show some of our record-breaking growth in our enrollment this fall. And we've as President Smatras said in his State of the University, by the way, it was an excellent State of the University, so if you didn't have a chance to go and watch that last Friday, please do that, because it was pretty incredible, where he talked about his goals, talked about the things that they've been doing strategically, and quite frankly, having this kind of growth, having retention, having the graduation rates and all the work that we and the incredible accomplishments that we're making is a focused effort, and it just doesn't happen. And President Smatras talked about how he's making that happen. President Mung is doing the same thing here with the great team here to really make this growth happen. And so you can see the records that we're showing here.
And on our next slide, I think if we add them all together.
And in total, you can see that we are breaking the target. This is we provide our board a goal and targets along the way. We call it our scorecard, or some call it our six-pack of the growth areas that we're really planning to make along the way. And we've surpassed our goal that we had told the board that we planned to accomplish well over a year ago that we set. And so we're pretty excited about that, and we're going to keep going in the big effort here to make this growth happen.
It is exciting. Well, one of the things that we do in these town halls every quarter is we start out and let the chancellor kind of talk about where we are in system administration. So, Lisa, first place I think people always like to hear about are new hires, and you've got a couple spots on your cabinet that have been open. Can you update us on Chief Financial Officer and Chief Information Officer?
Sure, I can do that. One thing I wanted to say, though, before I intended to, on the Health Science Center, they did not grow it. It was deliberate. President Williams has been very, very focused around his programs, and the quality programs, and public health is one of those areas. So intentionally, they didn't grow. So I wanted to not leave that unsaid. Sometimes you plan things accordingly, and that's strategically he's been doing. So moving on to some of our recent hires, we're pretty excited because next week we'll have our new CFO coming in. Dan Tenney is coming to us from somewhere near and dear to my heart, and that's NASA. And he is just an amazing person. I think you'll all be pretty thrilled to meet Dan. His first week here, he's going to be out visiting each of the campuses, meeting with the presidents, meeting with the CFOs, touring and really kind of getting to know everybody, and meeting with the whole financial team as well. So Dan is just a very warm person, very strategic, a great executor as well, a great developer of people. I think you'll find him just a wonderful addition to our very just wonderful team that we have. And you heard it very clearly from our board chair, where in our last board, for anybody that listened, as he looked around the room as he was really talking about his time spent as chair, and he said this is the best team that he's ever seen, and he's right. He did interview Dan, and so did our new board chair, Chair Wright, and both gave him the big thumbs up that he's the right person. And each of the presidents interviewed Dan as well. So looking forward to having him as part of our team. As far as our CIO slot that has also been open as well, we did run a national search. We did select someone. We had a little hitch in the get along there with moving out with him. He really wanted to come here, but he had some personal things that pop up that he really truly could not work through. So we have continued our search, and we have some really promising things, and I'd say we are pretty excited. So sometimes things happen for a reason, and I think in the CIO job that might be the case. So we've been interviewing, like I said, some more candidates there, and have somebody pretty exciting coming through there. So.
And in the short term, almost getting close to a year now, Charlotte Russell has done a great job in the interim role.
Charlotte has done a wonderful job. Charlotte's sitting right out there. She's just done an amazing job as leader, and I thank you very much, Charlotte. Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job. Thank you.
I like how Charlotte's always just cool. She's just cool and collected all the time. She's great to work with, though. Well, moving on from personnel, I know this is a time of year. It's a new fiscal year, a new academic year, and we really hone our strategy in. And one of the things, Chancellor, that you preached to us is let's keep our vision in front of us. So we wanted to take a look at the university visions and then let you walk through what we're doing UNT World, system administration, and let you talk on where we're headed and how we're sticking to the mission and putting that out in the forefront to lead us.
Yes, that we really do like to keep these visions right out in front of us, and I know again President Smatras just really talked through his new vision, the university's new vision at UNT just last week. So, but the bottom line is these visions are truly differentiators of where we're headed. Everywhere from right here at UNT Dallas, a pathway to social mobility. That is the focus. That is the guiding principle here, and it's really leading. It's a vision for this university, and it's truly in the heart of all of the folks here at our UNT Health Science Center, really providing those values-based healthcare providers of the future. It is in everything they're doing to really achieve that vision at the Health Science Center, and focusing on different kind of learning with their students to really have more patient-focused healthcare providers is all in the things they're doing, and so that's really exciting.
It's team-based, isn't it, as well?
It's team-based, patient-centered, empathetic learning, and I don't know where else they're doing that, but it's really pretty something exciting and incredible that they're doing there. So that's what's happening across, and of course the creative leaders of the future is what UNT is doing, and President Smatras again just talked about that last week. And so rolling those all up and looking at our overall vision for our UNT world, we are keeping that right in front of us as well, and focused on leading the way in Dallas-Fort Worth by transforming the future of North Texas and beyond, by being accessible, caring, innovative, and industry-connected, bringing out the full potential of those we serve. And everything you're hearing today and those visions of each of our universities, it is all about that. From the story that Paul talked about, from a caring environment that we're providing with our faculty right here at UNT Dallas, you're hearing it in everything we do, and so we're really excited about what we're going to achieve across our whole UNT world, staying focused on our purpose, which is about transforming lives, and that's really a thread that goes all across. And so just coming down, because this has been, this town hall is focused around system administration a little bit more, so we're going to kind of zero in on system administration and what we've been doing there. Of course, we've had this vision out in front of us for system administration now for over a year. We developed it over a year ago at our retreat, maybe about a year ago this time at our system retreat. And it was about being recognized as a trusted partner of exceptional performance and service. And that's really guiding us to really what we're trying to achieve across system administration. We put in place key goals for 2019, and now we're completing a lot of those goals around people, service, and strength. And we won't have time to get into all of those accomplishments today, but we want to highlight a few. And I can tell you, when I came in as chancellor, one of the key things, and it wasn't just me, but it was kind of across everyone I talked to, is one of the key improvement areas that we needed was around HR and some key things that we could do there. And under Barbara Abercrombie's leadership and with her team's great work, we've really made tremendous progress in accomplishing those goals. So Barbara, why don't you talk a little bit about some of those things you've been doing?
Oh my gosh, I'd love to. I am so thrilled. Next Monday, Tuesday, I will be here 1 year, and I can't believe how much we've been able to get accomplished in a year. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the projects that we've been working on that really have a broad base for all of our institutions and system administration of the work that's going on for HR. And I'm going to put my glasses on so that I can read my notes because I don't want to miss anything. So,
man, you're getting old there. You got to put your glasses on.
I'm not kidding.
Sitting here with no glasses.
You hush. The chancellor has a secret about why she does not wear glasses. So I really wanted to talk just a little bit about what a whirlwind year it's been in HR, but several projects are coming to a close that we have wrapped up, and several have moved on to phase 2, and that's really around our HRIS data projects. When I first got here, that was the thing that I heard the most about was, the HR data is problematic. So we are so pleased to be able to say that we have cleaned up so many of the issues that were happening with our HR data, and that we really are comfortable with what's coming out of our system, so much so that we've been able to put together an HR dashboard. And this dashboard really shows it's updated quarterly, and it shows FTE, headcount, turnover, so that supervisors can actually look in areas and see, hey, we've got a problem in this area or that area, or let's dig a little deeper into this information and see what's going on. And it also is a great resource for faculty and staff, because it's available. Anyone can go out online and go to our HR page. You do have to log in. While it doesn't have any personal information on our dashboards, it's pretty, there's just some information we wanted to make sure that for security purposes. Charlotte's out here going, absolutely, for security purposes. We didn't want just everyone to be able to see it. So you will have to use your login information, just your regular login, to be able to get to that. I encourage everyone to go out and take a look at it. It's one of the things that we
and
really
Barbara, we'll send out that link to everybody in next week's HR Highlights newsletter. We'll include instructions and a link to be able to check that out. So if you haven't had a chance to look at it, we'll give you foolproof instructions.
I'm so excited about that too. We've had over the last 2 years, so many discussions about how many FTE we have and how many. Anyway, point is, it's right there on the dashboard, so it's really easy to see. And I was doing the happy dance when Barbara rolled that out as a dashboard in August, right before our board. So pretty excited about that.
It is. It's one of the things that I really was excited about as we got to a place with our data cleanup, that we were able to look at that and say, okay, now we can really use this information so that our faculty and staff can pull this out and have some good information at their fingertips. The other thing that was on our radar with our Phase 1 project was state service. For many of you, you know that if you've been employed with any state agency, that state service carries with you no matter where you go to work. And that, for a lot of us that work at UNT, we have a lot of state service from other institutions or from working at UNT, and then we take a break and come back. Well, there's a lot that goes along with that state service, and we weren't doing a good job of tracking that and ensuring that those people that have other state service were being credited for that work. And so we went through and did a big cleanup on the information that was in the system from beyond 2003. Of course, 2003 when we first implemented PeopleSoft. And so we did a cleanup on that information, made sure everybody's information was correct. And so Phase 2 of that will actually be on the HR portal when you log into your UNT system or UNT, or you'll be able to click on a link that says check your state service, and it will show exactly all the information that we have in our system for your state service. It hasn't gone live yet. We're about a week out. We're doing some testing with Charlotte's group. They've been really helpful to make sure that this is ready and has the correct information and is easy to read. That's the other thing that we've really worked on with some of these HR projects is we want to make sure that when we're doing something like this, that it really is accessible. Going back to that vision statement, it's about accessibility. It's about, if we're going to give you something, we want you to be able to use it. And so we're going to take a little bit more time with that, but you'll be the first to know. It'll be in the HR highlights when that is live and ready for you guys to look at. So I've talked a lot about data, but I do want to talk, I'm going to just keep monopolizing the conversation.
Go on, Barbara, you're doing great.
I want to talk a little bit about non-data projects, because we've got some really cool stuff going on as well. As many of you know from the previous town hall that I was a part of, as well as just campus information, we have upgraded to a new people admin so that we have now one contract for all of our institutions. So it's really exciting. First of all, it allowed us to save a tremendous amount of money, which is always good. And secondly, it really is allowing us to give better service through people admin. And for those of you that don't know, people admin is our applicant tracking system. It's where when you're going to apply for a position, then you will go into that system to do that. Well, they also have some other really innovative products that are available. And so what we're going to do is we're upgrading and we're adding position management. This is one of the key things that helps employees know what's expected of me at work. When you can log into People Admin and see your job description, see the updates, if it's going to be changed, you can actually make notes in it that are sent to your supervisor, so your supervisor can say, hey, by the way, I've really been doing a lot of this, it may be time for me to update my job description. So that's going to be available as we roll that out. So it's applicant tracking, it's position management. It's also going to be performance management. Now, for those of you that are in system administration and on some of our campuses, you're having to do paper performance evaluations. That is going to end next year. We have one more cycle of performance evaluations on paper, and that will be the end of it. We'll be able to do it online. I am beyond excited about that. So we'll be doing a lot of work with our campuses on that. And then lastly, with our People Admin, we're going to be having a new onboarding module. For those of you that have started in the last couple of years, you will have been onboarding with the green checks as you go through that process, which is an interesting one because sometimes those green checks are green and then they're not green anymore. So that People Admin system will be able to give us a new and much more innovative way to onboard our employees. And as everybody knows, onboarding is such a key piece to make us feel welcome, to make us feel like
your first experience with your new employer, right?
Exactly. So really excited about the People Admin upgrade. And then the last thing I wanted to talk just a little bit about is our comprehensive compensation study. We have pending contract signatures, chosen a vendor that is going to help us with that study, and it is going to be the first comprehensive review of our compensation since 2012, I believe. So I'm really happy about that. Several of you have been asked to serve on that committee as we work with our consultant to get that done. So I'll have more information about that, and you'll be able to see that in our communications that come out from HR.
No doubt. We'll help you with those communications.
And so as I said, and kicking over to Barbara, there's a lot going on. And Barbara didn't even hit on some of the things that are just pretty exciting, that are really moving us toward the vision that we show here and the results that we're trying to achieve. In some of the other areas as well, financial, some of the key things that we were looking for is to accelerate our annual financial plan and to get our an accelerated audit done as well. And so we are doing that. It's on track. I'm so thrilled with that, and expect to accomplish our goal by completing that by December 19th of this year. So that's great and well on track. The other thing is we wanted to have multi-year budget planning, where we really could, and sensitivity analysis around being able to, if we make this strategic decision, how will that affect some of our out years from a budget planning standpoint? And so we're implementing that this fall. We have an Axiom tool that we've implemented all across our universities and system as well. And so we're pretty excited about that, to get that moving and actually putting that in place. As many of you know, we have been actively looking at our ERP and enterprise resource planning tool, and that beyond PeopleSoft. And so the point is, we've had a cross-campus team working group really looking hard at that. We have had a cross-campus team steering committee, and so there has been an incredible amount of work going into that. It is coming forward to the steering committee to present, and I'll let Barbara jump in there.
Yeah, the evaluation team that had worked for so long in looking at what might be available for us and for the future, and it has a recommendation, and they'll be giving that over to the steering committee in October, at last week of October, and we're working on some additional information that we'll get out to the steering committee as well. This is a really important decision that we'll make that is going to move us into the next 15 to 20 years. So it's one that we're going to take a lot of time with, and we're going to make sure that we have dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's before we make anything public about what we're going to do, and really work with the steering committee to ensure that they have the comfort level with whatever decision that we're going to make.
Yeah, and be really clear on that. That is going to be very well planned out. So I don't want anybody to think that that's going to be like snapping a finger and, whoa, what happened? And there may be, and I've learned along the way that maybe from, say, the last implementation, there is maybe some worry or some shell shock around maybe what happened back then. That is not going to be the case here. This is really a lot of thought process going into this from all of the campuses, from all of our system organizations that need to be a part of that, right? From financials, IT, HR. So a lot of effort going into that ERP work.
Yeah, and I think it's important to point out that, the evaluation team is now at a place to give their recommendation to the steering committee, and that took a year to get to that place. It's been a year of really solid work from that evaluation team, and so I think that just shows you the deliberations that we're putting into this and really making sure that we're being thoughtful as we make this decision.
Some of the other things going on around our goals is a brand refresh, and we've been doing that at each of the campuses a little in different ways, and at system administration as well. So that's underway, and we expect to meet the targets that we had planned for this year for that. We've had a downtown Dallas study going on that I know a lot of people are interested in. Some people are interested in what's going on with our building with that, but we put that study in place, just completed it in July. Jonathan Veit and PDI headed that, and it just did a tremendous job, really looking strategically at what should we be doing in downtown Dallas going forward. Some of the key findings around that, in meeting with some of the CEOs and the corporations in the Dallas area, was that you need to be meeting with the corporations and CEOs in the Dallas area, because we learned some key things that they need and have moved out on developing some of that right here at UNT Dallas, what we learned in that. And so we're really, one of those key findings around that is to have more of a consistent interface with industry, and so that's something that we're moving forward with. Rosemary Haggett is kind of leading that and really helping form up that for us, and so I'm really pleased with that work that's going on. And of course, Jonathan Veit and PDI Professional Development Institute, which is at UNT, is really helping us move forward with that. So we're excited about that. The other thing that we learned in that is what companies are needing is sometimes a hybrid combination. It's not necessarily always classroom space. Some of it you can have online, some of it you can you might need classroom space for, but it's certainly not the amount of space that we have in our current building. And so in looking at that, we asked the board to allow us to lease. We are negotiating a lease with a partner right now that is actively going out and talking about it. So we expect it to be a done deal, but that's quite frankly DISD, where we have needed a Montessori school in downtown Dallas. It is key. I mean, if you've heard any of the news stories, it's fundamental to really keeping people from fleeing from Dallas and staying there once they have kids, because there's nowhere for their kids to go to school, really. So we are negotiating that right now for floors 3 and 4 of our building in downtown Dallas, and looking at what, and moving forward with that. And so our building, which is a little quiet now that the law school moved out to the municipal building, is going to be really active once some of this comes into place. So we've had some great discussions around that. It's still certainly in formulation, but that is something that we've been looking at. And consciously, we've been looking to consolidate our system administration folks. We still need the law library that's in there. We still need the moot court that's in there. So we're still using a lot of the things on the 6th floor as well, but the 3rd and 4th floors, making that available and below, and really consolidating some of our system activities so that we can, and we would still plan to offer some courses from our universities along the lines of what we learned that is needed in the downtown Dallas area. So and there's a strategic reason for it to be there. So lots going on there, but I just wanted folks to know that would currently We do plan to hold on to the building but lease and maximize our income with regard to that. And there are some things going on in Dallas as well around this new innovation education district that might be coming on board around the year 2023. And so we're looking at what makes sense for our system with regard to that area for the future. So all of that's underway, and of course Dallas County Community College is a part of that, DISD is a part of that, and a lot of kind of tech companies and all would be interested in that as well. So kind of an exciting development, and we are right in the middle of all that, talking about all of that going forward. So that's a lot about what's happening in downtown Dallas. And just wanted to kind of fill you in on where that is. Other things going on are external reviews. So we have had a couple of reviews already. I had Steve, no, not quite yet, but Steve Maricheski sat with us for one of the last town halls and talked about some of the outcomes. I think it was the very last town hall we had around some of the areas. We finished the facilities external review. He and the great facilities team are off, and the campus facilities team are off implementing some of the findings around that. So that's going to really help us move forward in a great way. We have kicked off some reviews of legal, and already made some great progress there with an external company that's been working to help improve in automation within legal, and I'm seeing some smiles on some of the lawyers' faces because these tools are really making a difference for their team and getting them in place, and so that's great news. At the same time, there was a need to put some measures in place for turnaround time, and they have done that, and that's around policies and also around investigations, and they've worked off their backlog and policies now, and so a lot of good things going on there, and they're now moving forward this fall, so there'll be some client interviews really focused on legal being even a more strategic partner going forward, and what are some opportunities that the clients see with that regard, because you saw those visions that we have at all our universities, and to do some of those things, we're doing some things differently externally. I mean, think about the public-private partnership with TCU with our MD school. Quite a different. I don't think anyone in the nation is doing that. So it's something that obviously our legal team is involved in, and they're helping us think out of the box to really come up with some new ways of doing some of this. So that's something going on with the external review on legal. We have an external review of audit that we are now kicking off. We have an RFQ that's going to be going out to select a vendor to come in and take a look. We're looking at what's audit focused on today. How is audit reporting? Do we have the right competencies in place? What should we be focused on going forward? Benchmarking some institutions around audit, outsourcing, all of those things, kind of the normal things that you might look at when you're looking across the board and for an external review. So that we've kicked off, and now finally, next slide, we just completed, or a little while back, completed the IT review, and it was across all our campuses and our system as well. The key findings from our external review of IT are in the areas of really understanding our IT cost and really being able to track those costs going forward. So we'll need to do some cost workshops and some focus there going forward to really better understand that, because today we don't have a real good grasp on our IT spend in certain areas, and so that's something that we'll be doing going forward. IT strategy. So we don't really have anything that we can point to that says this is our strategy and that we can base our decisions against in the IT arena. And so we want to work to develop that strategy. Governance. We have governance in place, but it's probably not as effective or understood as we could do in the future. And so that's something that we'll be moving forward with. Already UNT kind of proactively started a grassroots effort around how they're governing today, how their services are distributed across UNT, and really there was some lack of understanding of where to go and consistency in some of that service, and even how it's governed. And you know, when something's bought, you know, what's the decision process around buying that particular software, and are we getting the value we need out of it? So those kind of things are being looked at. They came up with an interim solution to governance that they're following right now. And we'll look at all of this once we get our new CIO on board. We'll be actively moving forward across all to lead this effort. And right now, our plan is to have a dual-hatted CIO for the first time there, where they're going to both be the system CIO, but they're also going to be the UNT CIO. And I think that is going to go a long way, and really, because what we want to operate, how we want to operate, is really in a borderless way, where we're looking across and designing the very best solutions when you engage the campuses and really understand what some of the needs are, and really function that way. And with that, I think you'll really find that you can get some of our IT services even more efficiently if you're really not artificially stovepiping some of those things. So that's what's happening in our IT review and what we're planning on doing there. So I think that I can stop talking about what we're doing on some of our goals around.
You're almost off the hook. I had one last thing to ask you about is you're kind of finalizing rolling out those goals. You talked about what was accomplished throughout the last year as we get ready to move forward with our goals in the coming year. What do you have coming up to finalize that? I know you have some interface with the presidents and with your cabinet.
We do. We as I said, we're completing a lot of our 2019 goals. We're busy formulating our 2020 goals and beyond. And so each of the presidents is doing that. They have their goals that they're going to bring forward October 2nd to the Chancellor's Council. We'll look at our targets beyond our current targets that we have in our scorecard area that we show the board, and that's enrollment, research, philanthropy, things like that, even best place to work. And so we'll look at all of those targets and really start to decide on what our new targets are going to be for 2020 and looking out beyond that. And then all of our system administration folks are going to get together on October 29th, and we're really going to with that knowledge of where our universities are going, what we can do is form up what we're doing to take our system even further with our system administration goals for 2020. And each of our vice chancellors and our chiefs are busy forming up those goals, and they'll be presenting those as part of that retreat. So we're pretty excited about that. We have some other things that we're going to do that are going to kind of inform that as well. We're bringing the Federal Reserve is going to come and talk to the Chancellor's Council in October. And really talk about some of the changing, you know, if there is downturn in kind of the downturn in the economy, and what that might mean for our region, if that, you know, with some of those projections. And so we can factor all of that thinking into some of the things that we're trying to do. So we're excited about some of these plans and ready to move forward.
I think it's good for you to share that approach that you know, you're always taking input from people on the team. You're spending time with the presidents to make sure that we're aligned in our goals, and then you're also taking time to work with your leadership, and we appreciate that from our standpoint. I know Barbara does too.
Absolutely. I think that is it is one of the things that makes our system unique, and it also helps us tremendously in providing the services that our campuses really need.
No, and of course we're going to take questions from the audience, and we have some questions coming up. And Barbara, I'm going to let you talk in just a second, but I had one thing that I wanted to share that we're doing in communications, kind of jointly with your team, is that we are working on recognition as part of our Best Place to Work initiative. And one of the things that my team has taken on is once a month we are going to do a recognition video of, it might be a person, sometimes it might be a department sometimes, but how they're making an impact, how they're making a difference, how they're working with both the institutions at the system level. And we wanted to show a quick video before we get into Best Place of Work that spotlights our efforts in the hub, historically underutilized business area in procurement. So let's take a look at this video spotlighting the success there.
The way we developed our strong network is through outreach. So for the first year, Joey and I were putting 1,000 miles a month on our cars, at least going to events, just making sure that people knew that we were serious. And so we keep in touch with them. We continue to go to events. We're continue out there. It's about relationships, about being on boards, it's about being on panels, so they know what we're about and the way to do business with UNT Health Science Center, and UNT Dallas.
I appreciate Greg and the Hub program, because with the mentor protege program and everything, it seems like it's helping small businesses like me grow.
Stratagar is a full-service advertising agency based here in the North Texas area. We have had the opportunity of working with UNT System, UNT Dallas, UNT Dallas College of Law, and now we're in conversations with UNT at Frisco.
And so as from a hub, working with UNT Dallas, working with UNT Health Science Center, UNT Den, and going out through that whole UNT experience to the UT system, where Greg has helped the hub program expand. And then I feel like I have expanded as a small business as well. Living in North Texas and having a business here, with the leadership community that we have, specifically here at UNT System with the first woman chancellor, Senator Royce West, that's so supportive of historically underutilized businesses, and the companies that are moving to North Texas that care about diversity and inclusion, allow companies like mine to have a seat at the table. And that is just very exciting for us, and it makes me feel like we're part of something bigger and a great future.
It's a really pretty great success story. Congratulations to Greg and his team, and of course UNT Dallas. Bob's folks are #1 in the state for Hub and higher ed. But Barbara, the Gallup poll that we do every year, the survey that that we all hear so much about, it provides a roadmap to roll things like out, to recognize Greg Obar and his team for their success. You're going to get into Gallup a little bit, but let's start on recognition and talk about what that means and to be able to share the good work being done and how important that is.
It is so important. One of the things that we forget sometimes as supervisors is that we have people that work for us that are doing amazing things, and they're coming into work every day and just absolutely killing it. And we forget that not everyone else knows about this person. And so recognition is a big piece of being a great place to work. It's a big piece of our Gallup. It's also, I think, something that as a system, I think the campuses have actually done a much better job than system administration. And so I was so pleased with the Chancellor's leadership that we're going to be able to add some recognition awards to our service awards. And we'll talk a little bit about that a little later. And but I will tell you something about the Sept program that I love, and this video in particular. It really encompasses two things that I think are probably the most important things that we can do. It's recognition, and it's really showing and showcasing areas in our institution that are doing great things. And number two, it's talking about equity and diversity and inclusion, which is something we don't talk enough about. And it is, and it means a lot to me to be here on the Dallas campus today talking about this. But I wanted to share a little bit about some of the things that we're going to be doing to really start focusing on ED&I as from the system perspective, and working with our campuses to do more around ED&I. And so Tuesday of this week, we met for the first time all of the cabinets, the cabinet from UNT Dallas, the cabinet from the Health Science Center, the cabinet from UNT, and the Chancellor's cabinet all met for a full morning of discussion with a presenter from the American Association of Colleges and Universities, who is also a consultant, and she came in to spend 4 hours with us to focus on ED&I. And it was a wonderful conversation, and it was had a couple of eye-opening moments for us, but I think it's really important that as a leadership team, we spend some time talking about what does diversity look like for us? What do we need to be doing differently? what do we need to be doing? What are we doing that we're doing well that we need to recognize, and we need to really make sure everyone understands what's happening. So we're going to be doing some work with Paul's group on communication. We're going to be adding some information to our website that really consolidates all of the ED&I work that's happening across our UNT world into one place, so that you have one place to go and find all that information. And so Paul's group, we're meeting, Paul and 8 is coming in tomorrow morning with HR, and we're going to do a big communications meeting, and that's going to be one of the things that we're going to talk about, is how do we get this information out there, and what do we do to really start recognizing the employees that are doing great things around ED&I.
I'm excited for that discussion, and I'm excited to also share. You may have noticed, if you ever come to the UNT System website, that we launched a new website recently. We're now on the cusp, end of October. Andrea is running the slideshow behind us. We just had a conversation. End of October, right, Andrea? We're launching the new HR site. So we're excited to have a better experience for our people on that site as well.
Oh my gosh, we are so excited about this new HR website. It has been one of the things that I've just been fussing about since I got here, is that, we, as all of you know as employees, where's the first place you go to look for information when you're sitting at home and you've got a spouse that's saying, tell me what about this insurance that I need to know about, and there's no one to call because it's Saturday night at midnight. And so having a website that has robust information on it is one of the first things that we can do for good customer service. So super excited about that.
That's going to be fun to launch that. Well, let's switch into Gallup, because we don't ever have you up here without ever talking about that. And it's something that impacts everybody, right? The survey is part of culture at UNT Dallas. It's part of culture at UNT. It's part of culture in the Health Science Center. We're going to focus a little bit on system administration, just because that's what we're kind of focused on today in our conversation. But I'll let you kind of share where we are and what the roadmap ahead looks like.
Well, I want to talk today specifically from a system administration perspective, and talk just a little bit about our engagement index, our grand mean, and our participation rates, just so you have a little bit more information about that. As most of you know from the information that's been out there online, you can find out all of this information from the portal. Just click a link and it's all right there. You can dive down into each institution, each department, and give you some great information. But overall, 53% is engaged, 36% not engaged, so we're going to work on that, and then 11% actively disengaged. Our grand mean score, this is really important, it's 4.07. The thing to keep in mind is that in order for us to be able to file an application to become a best place to work, our grand mean score has to be 4.40. So we've got a little bit of work to do, but I know that we can get there, especially as we think about the strides that we've made over the last year and over the last 2 years since the Chancellor's been here. That score has gone up, and so it's going to continue to go up, and we're going to continue to work and find ways that we can engage our employees in different and creative ways. And the best way that we can do that is to listen, because as you'll notice on the next slide, we talk a little bit about kind of the 3 areas for system administration that we're going to focus on this year and these were the 3 questions that we felt like really got the most attention during the survey, and also in the open-ended questions that people answered. And that was, my opinion seems to count. One of the great things about this question is it really tells us that, do people feel like we're listening to them? One of the ways that we do that is just like this, having this town hall here today where you have the opportunity to ask me any question that you want, to ask the Chancellor, that she gives us her time to sit here on the stage today is really important. And and I will tell you, coming from other institutions, it just does not happen that often. I'm so thrilled to be here with someone that is willing to be here and be open and answer your questions. And so when we hear about, when you ask us questions at these events and when you send emails and we do something about that, we want to make sure you know. And that is how we're going to be able to show you that your opinion really does count. The last 7 days I've been recognized or praised for the work that I do. Dr. R. Mark Miles is here in the audience today with his team, and they're working diligently on supervisor training that is going to help supervisors really understand how important this recognition is. And on top of that, we're going to be doing more recognition at the system level as well, where we can really point out people that are doing outstanding work and really showcase what they do at our annual Service Awards and Excellence Awards that will be happening October 1st. And then I know what's expected of me at work, and this goes right back to what I was talking about earlier with our people admin system. Having a place that you can easily locate your job description is the first step in knowing what's expected of you at work. Now, are there going to be times that things change? You can ask any of the people that work in HR, and they'll tell you that this last year has been nothing but change. And that's a part of what makes it so exciting to work here. But sometimes we need to make sure that we're sharing that change and we're talking about that change. And so again, Dr. Miles' group is going to be working with us on that as well to ensure that that's part of what we're doing, and that's part of what we're really thinking about, is ensuring that everybody knows what's expected.
Well, the last thing I wanted to ask you to just elaborate just a bit more on is the service awards for the system folks, because it had traditionally been an award ceremony for longevity, and you've taken a new look at that. So I wanted to share that, you to share that, since it's coming up next week.
Yes. This is, I think I was probably my second day on the job, that I went to the chancellor and I said, Houston, we have a problem.
And I said, you are right.
She totally did. She's like, absolutely. And I said, this is great that we do these service awards, and we're going to be recognizing people that have been here from 5 to 30 years. We are recognizing somebody that's been here 30 years. That is absolutely amazing. But what we don't do is recognize excellence in people's work. And so this year we're going to give one employee the Chancellor's Excellence Award. And then that person will be honored during the service awards, as well as given a check for $1,000, which is really exciting. And then we're also giving away, we're also recognizing people in particular areas, and those, and again, I'm gonna get my glasses, because I'm not as lucky as a chancellor is not to wear those. Okay, we're also gonna be recognizing people
in customer service, supervisory skills, innovation.
Oh, right there.
Thank you, Kevin and Michael, for putting that what we call college monitor up front.
Okay, not only do I need to wear glasses, I also can't read. So really, again, super excited about being able to do this. It is such a great way for us to recognize the employees and everything that they do.
And these have been peer nominated, and so we got all these inputs from peers, and it's pretty exciting to see. It's pretty exciting to see the big list that we had coming in, and people recognizing each other for kind of the key things that they're doing. And I can tell you, some people got a lot of nominations, same person in some cases, so you knew they were just truly knocking it out of the park. So, and we want to, I don't know if we did as much this time, but we want to make it where campuses can also provide input on our system employees and make sure that because they're interfacing with our system folks on a daily basis. So we're looking for that input as well. So anyway, really exciting. I'm glad to be adding these true excellence awards as part of what we're doing.
And important to note maybe that we're trailing a little bit at the system administration level on the recognition events. That I know that Bob here has had town halls for recognition. I know that President Smotrisk in Denton has recognition events, as does President Williams in Fort Worth. So it's nice to see us kind of all sing to this.
And that's really, you're absolutely right, Paul. I think that it's important to note that that's part of the open-ended questions that we did for the Gallup survey. The responses that we got back said, one of the things is I'm a system administration employee on a campus, and I'm not eligible for any of the recognition awards. And so it's like, oh, this is something we can fix. We can do something about this.
And one thing I did want to mention too on the Gallup, Barbara talked about our 3 areas that we're focused on, and that's what we heard from system administration that really we should be focused on. Each of the campuses are looking at their information as well and focusing on those areas that they're hearing at that particular campus. So these are mainly system administration, and each campus will do, we're not dictating, every campus will work on really the things most important to the employees at each of the campuses. And so I just wanted to really stress that that's what's happening there.
It's really exciting because all of our campuses are doing something a little bit different because their numbers bore out doing something different, and to have that flexibility so that they can really work on each of their areas of need. And again, I can't say enough great things about Mark and his team, because they're the ones that are taking the lion's share of looking at what each campus is really going to focus on, as well as system administration, and developing training and support for each of those. And to have a team of people that are willing to do that is, I'm so proud.
We ready to answer some questions? All right, we're going to move into that portion of it. We have a full capacity studio audience here. If you want to come up and ask questions, we have a microphone up front for you to ask any questions. Otherwise, I'll go through some that were submitted to us by email. And the first one isn't too much of a segue, Barbara.
By the way, I do want to thank everybody for being here, and thank all the folks that are streaming and listening and being part of this town hall. So just wanted to say that too.
No, I think the biggest thing that makes this work is the questions we get and the interactivity, and that's what makes it special, not just sharing slides, but it's really answering questions, and sometimes tough questions. So absolutely, thanks everybody that's here today and watching online on Facebook. So Barbara, the first question actually relates to Gallup, and it was a little bit of a vague question. So it was a question about what steps are being taken to alleviate issues, I don't know what issues are, that arose during the Gallup survey at UNT. So issues, are you aware of issues? It was a question that was a little bit vague that we thought you might have some insight.
That's a great question. I'm not sure that I have insight into specific, because there's not I know that there was some conversations at UNT specifically about the timing of the survey. And so as we look at what next steps for Gallup next year are going to be, that's one of the things we're looking at, is that instead of doing the survey for everybody at the same time, we're going to roll that out based on campus need. And so we'll be able to look at their calendars and say, okay, because this last year we rolled out the survey in April, and UNT had happened to have 2 other very large surveys that went out just a couple of weeks before ours did. And so by the time ours came along, people were deleting that file pretty quickly. So that may be one of the issues that they're talking about, is that timing.
Yeah, I think I've heard the term survey fatigue.
Yes.
So that makes sense to adjust the timeline. Well, Barbara, a second HR-related question, and you've talked a little bit about Mark's division, and maybe this is part of the answer, but we got a question asking, what is HR doing to help create a career pathway for me and providing developmental opportunities to continue to move up in the organization?
Oh, that is such a great question. And it really, and Mark's just shaking his head back there, because it really is, having the opportunity to really take professional development and turn it on its head so that it becomes a consultant model is something that I've been striving to do at every place I've been, and I'm so excited to have Dr. Mark Miles here, because he really comes to us with the expertise of being able to do this. And what that consultant model allows is that not just for departments to be able to use their services for SWOT analysis, for retreats, for all kinds of things like that. It also allows for him to put together trainings and developments and opportunities for that career path. The other thing that's really going to be helpful as we do this people admin implementation, we're going to be able to look at how do we utilize the system to ensure that there is career ladders for each of our positions, where that is, where it's something that really makes sense. And so everyone will know exactly, these are the things that I have to do to move up in this position. So we've got a lot of work to do over the next year to really think about how are we going to accomplish some of those goals. One of the things that I think is most important, and if we want to continue to have service awards where people are here for 20, 25, and 30 years, we have to find pathways for their growth. And this is an important way to do that.
Chancellor, we have a question for you. And this one, I'm not sure that the person that sent it in totally understands our board, but they asked what we were going to do without Brent Ryan on our board. And that's not quite what happened. Chairman Ryan is now Regent Ryan for a couple more years, and Laura Wright is our new chair. Could you talk about the changes at the board level and how that will impact us?
Yeah, so Chair Ryan, his term on the board, I think, runs through 2021. So he's still a regent and has rotated off, and by regent rules, it dictates that we did need to have a new chair in August, and so Chair Wright is going to be wonderful. I've been working with her, and we've all been working with her as vice chairs, so we're pretty excited about working with Chair Wright as well. So we have a great board, and I think we have a great relationship, and continuing to improve every day in working with our board. I did want to note that for those that maybe didn't get a chance to see the August board or watch that, you should really listen to our chairman's kind of exit speech from being a chair and what he feels like has happened across his tenure as chairman, and it was very touching and pretty impressive that he thinks we're really in a really good place across our universities.
And he also did a good job on a very popular podcast where he was a featured guest. The Chancellor and I had Chairman Ryan, Regent Ryan, on the podcast after the board meeting, and you can find that on the Chancellor's website. It's a fun conversation where I even got to ask him some weird things about like what kind of music he likes, and what did he say, Iron Maiden and Texas Swing? And
it was
a fun conversation to talk to him. So Barbara, I got another one for you. Chancellor, this is one actually you could weigh in on as well. UT San Antonio recently allowed telecommuting for staff, and that has helped free up office space and parking on their campus. Would we ever consider this at UNT?
We do have that policy. Yeah,
so one of the first things I did when I came in, the very first thing I did is say, well, we've got to have a teleworking policy. I cannot believe we don't have one. So we now have one at every one of our campuses and at our system level as well. And so yeah, it's something. Now obviously the policy is it's based on supervisor approval and what you can and can't do. I always joke we had teleworking in NASA too, but it was kind of like, you can't take the plane home, so therefore, so there were those jobs that, you have to really think about what the job is and can it be done remotely. But with all that, we have teleworking policies across the board now. So
I think one of the things that, kind of as people are getting more and more comfortable with this idea of remote work and teleworking is really helping our supervisors understand that people can get work done while they do that. And so, and helping them to understand, here are some parameters that you can put in place for that. And so we're working on it, and I think that we're going to get better and better at it as time goes by.
So this is a question we may need to ask Charlotte to come up and help us with this one, because I'm not sure I know the answer, but we were asked a question about the need to include a second data center in our master plan. And I know there's some considerations that will come about with the new CIO and whether we would move to some cloud-based solutions, but is there anybody on this panel that's not me that can provide some insight there?
I think that's certainly something kind of as we looked at some of the external reviews, Gartner's recommendations, and we'll go through that. We want to weigh all of those things and where maybe we can do things differently. I don't know if it's just you need another data center or maybe you do data centers differently. And so I think those are things we will be looking at going forward, because our data centers are very old and are a risk for us. And so we need to do some things to change and mitigate some of those risks. And a lot of people do in data centers quite differently than we do in today. So we may want to think about some of that.
So the next question is one that was a really mean question that I guess was addressed at me. I'm not sure. No, it was a question it wasn't really a question. It was a statement that said, "I'm getting too many emails right now." Can't
They
be
say
consolidated. I think there were administrative announcement type emails, and that's something we're going to talk about with Barbara's team tomorrow. How do you balance out making sure everybody knows what's going on? Great example is we're going to have an outage of the EIS self-service portals over the weekend, right? And we've had a communications plan designed to make sure that, you know, at 5 p.m. on Friday, people know that they're not going to be able to log into HR functionality, and that's going to be down for the weekend. So it's essential that you know those kinds of things. At the same time, we kind of said survey fatigue, maybe there's email fatigue. So how do we balance that out? And I know that I want to try to use some different platforms to share messages, but what are both of your thoughts on that? Because it's something that affects both of you as well.
Well, I knew I had, I don't know if it was a UNT cabinet I was in, or but they were also saying they were struggling at UNT, I think, with getting multiple messages from different people, and so they really needed to look at some ways to. So I think it's kind of a common thing that when you're trying to communicate, sometimes, you know, you might be you have to look at a way to coordinate that. Now, I think the ad, one of the first things that I know Barbara coming on, because she had talked about it during the interview even, was around these HR communications that go out at the same time, weekly, and people really looked forward to that and loved it because it was a wealth of information. And so she's implemented that here, and I think it's fantastic. I think it's really helped us. But we have to really think about, does every org need to send out a communication? And so I think that might be where the question would come into play. And I think HR is going to impact everybody. And so those things that they're putting out in the communication are very needed and relevant. And then we'll have to figure out the others. See, I mean, I send out a communication as well, usually monthly, just to say, here's what's happening, you know, kind of, you know, from my perspective. Once a month doesn't seem excessive, but bottom line is I think we'll look at all of that and how do we better coordinate that going forward.
And I think it's a illustration of what you talked about on the front end of the program, all these changes, all these new systems that are being implemented. We have to communicate those out, but I think the point is that we'll continue to look at how we communicate and try to find other ways to reach people with messages in various spots, social media being an example that we've talked about.
Yeah, I think that it's always that balancing act because all of us get to that place where it's like, one more email from this person? You've got to be kidding me. But I think that it's about being very specific about the information we send out so we're not overloading people. But it's also, just like you said, it's finding other ways. You know, as we look at how people get their information, it's not always an email anymore, and we have to be creative and innovative about how we do that and ensure that everybody knows what's happening and that people are getting the information they need.
No, and I'll say, just to close this topic, I'll just say on communications issues, if you have a great idea of how we should communicate, feel free to reach out to me directly. I'm easy to find, and I know that Barbara and the Chancellor are both accessible as well. So, any questions from the audience?
Send those to Paul.
I got them. They'll probably end up with me eventually anyway if you send them there. Any questions do we have from the audience? All right, well, we're going to put this video up and push it out to all of our audiences, not on email. Later in the week, we're going to put it up on our website, on our social outlets. And everybody that watched online, thanks so much. Everybody that came and joined us today, thanks so much. President Mong and everybody at UNT Dallas, thanks for hosting us. Kevin and Michael in the back, thanks for making a solution up here for us. We loved having the confidence monitor, and thank you, Barbara and Chancellor.
Thank you all, and in December we'll do the town hall from UNT Health Science Center, and we'll have all the presidents as part of that town hall. So that should be a lot of fun, and we can probably talk about some of the strategic goals and things that'll all be in place by then at that time. So looking forward to that.
So get your questions ready, and thank you, everybody. We appreciate it.